What if World War I ended in a stalemate? In our own timeline, Europe found itself from 1914 to 1918 in a brutal war called the Great War, nowadays known as the First World War. It ended with a victory of the Entente and the dissolution of the German, Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, and Russian Empire. But what if that didn't happen? What if World War I ended in a stalemate? In this timeline, Germany doesn't resume unrestricted submarine warfare. After they restarted it, they feared that the US would join the Entente, and so they send the Zimmermann telegram to Mexico, which caused the US joining the Entente. Another change in the timeline is that Russia doesn't launch the Kerensky offensive. Not only was it a military defeat that ended with them being pushed out of Galicia and later Riga and the Estonian archipelago, but also ended with Kerensky blaming Brusilov and replacing him with Kornilov, whose coup attempt would end with the communists being armed. In this timeline, the US doesn't join ANS, Russia stays. By 1918, everyone is NISU collapse. The British Empire is shaky, France has mass discontent, Germany is starving, Austria-Hungary is near ethnic collapse, and Russia is sucked dry. And so in early 1918, politicians of all the participants of World War I joined the London Conference to reshape Europe, like the Vienna Conference in 1815. They then signed the Treaty of London on July 28, 1918, the same day the war started. Germany withdraws from France and Belgium, and meanwhile France and the United Kingdom retreat from German colonies in Africa and the Pacific. Germany puppets the Kingdom of Poland led by Archduke Charles Stephen, who is crowned as Casimir V, the Kingdom of Lithuania led by Wilhelm Karl, who is crowned as Mindaugas II, and the Duchy of Courland led by Duke Adolf Friedrich. Italy was forced to give Austria-Hungary territories east of the Piave River and have to give Cyrenaica to the Senussi led by Ahmed Sharif. Austria-Hungary annexed Montenegro and puppeted Serbia, Albania and Wallachia. Bulgaria annexed Macedonia, Dobruja, and Thrace. The loser of the Central Powers, however, is the Ottoman Empire. They lost the Bosra Vilayet and Palestine to the United Kingdom, with Bosra becoming the Kingdom of Bosra led by Faisal I. The Hejaz and Yemen Vilayet become the Kingdom of Hejaz led by Hussein ibn Ali. Russia annexes the Erzurum and eastern Trabzon Vilayet. The Western powers also forced Japan to withdraw from German colonies, and it was agreed that Luxembourg would hold a referendum whether to become a German state or remain independent, with the majority voting in favor of joining Germany. Soon after the treaty is signed, workers and soldiers rebel in Paris. Soon later, these worker strikes become a revolution and a civil war with the government against the revolutionaries. These revolutionaries are socialists, communists, anarchists, and other leftist groups, and they are going to create the first socialist state. The Civil War ended officially in 1921 with the Red Army taking over mainland France, and the White Army retreating to Corsica thanks to them owning the navy. The French Commune is led by Léon Blum. Japan used this to invade French possessions in China and Indochina, with Thailand also joining. Japan annexes Kwangchuan and Thailand annexes land east of the Mekong River. The rest becomes the Empire of Vietnam, a Japanese vassal state. France asks the United Kingdom to occupy French Guyana, Djibouti, Madagascar, and New Caledonia. In 1920, socialists rise up in northern Italy and quickly take Rome. Their advance then slows down as the whites reorganize themselves. However, soon later, Mussolini coups the government and establishes a fascist regime. With German and Austrian help, they launch a counter-offensive and push the Reds all the way to Florence. Unfortunately for them, the British lands in Sicily and Sardinia to re-establish the Kingdom of Italy. With help from France, the Reds hold the line. In 1921, the Treaty of Rome is signed. The People's Republic of Italy led by Nicola Bombacci is given Piedmont, Lombardy, Veneto, Tuscany, and Romagna. Everything below is the Italian state led by Benito Mussolini. Meanwhile, the pre-war government under Victor Emmanuel III only owns the islands. Cyrenaica annexes Tripolitania and UK occupies Eritrea and Somalia. A few months before the Treaty of Rome was signed, tensions in Austria-Hungary rose. Hungary vetoed any attempts to federalize, and this resulted in mass ethnic violence and Hungary declaring independent. Austria agreed to join Germany, and they then invaded Galicia, West Ukraine, and Czechia. Meanwhile, Yugoslavia is proclaimed in Belgrade and Romania took Wallachia, however was defeated by Hungary, who also conquered Slovakia. In the end, the Vienna Convention is held. Upper Austria, Lower Austria, Carinthia, Carniola, Salzburg, Styria, Istria, Tyrol and Vorarlberg become the Archduchy of Austria, which becomes a member state of Germany, which is led by Karl I. Bohemia, Moravia and Austrian Silesia become the Kingdom of Bohemia, which is a German puppet state led by Karol III. Galicia and Lodomeria and Bukovina become the Kingdom of Galicia and Lodomeria, which is a German puppet state led by Karol I. The Principality of Serbia becomes independent and unites with Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Dalmatia and Croatia, Slavonia into the state of Yugoslavia. The First Hungarian Republic and Albania become independent, Romania gets Wallachia and Red Italy gets Friuli. In the Berlin Convention between Reichskanzler Max von Baden and Archduke Karl, it was agreed that when they reconquer Hungary and Yugoslavia they will re-establish the Habsburg monarchy. The Ottomans blamed Germany for their defeat and cut all ties with them. The defeat also resulted in a coup led by Mehmet VI and Mustafa Kemal to overthrow the three pashas who flee into Switzerland. When the Sauds invaded Hejaz, the British didn't support their ally, and like in our own timeline, Hejaz was conquered. But soon later the Ottoman Empire invades Saudi Arabia. However, this timeline it looked like the British do join, and so the Ottomans offered Rub al-Khali and al-Hissa connecting Kuwait to Qatar to the United Kingdom. Germany also kicked out Bulgaria and Albania from the Central Powers as they were too far away from them, and Germany feared another world war starting in the Balkan. They then formed the Sofia-Tirana axis. However, after Germany helped the Ottoman Empire in the Second Arab Revolt from 1936 to 1938 that ended with lighter rule on Arabs and the creation of Jebel Shamr in Central Arabia, the Ottoman Empire rejoins the Central Powers, and soon later Bulgaria and Albania were allowed to rejoin the Central Powers. Because Japan invaded French colonies in Asia, they were kicked out of the Entente and formed the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere with Siam and Vietnam. In 1932, Manchukuo joins the alliance. The fate of China would be similar to our own, with the difference being that it isn't led Soviet Union under Stalin supporting the Kuomintang, but the French Commune under Blum. And in 1937 the Second Sino-Japanese War still happens. Russia would never see a civil war, but during the Great Depression workers rebelled in Petrograd. Kornilov, who became chief of staff after Brusilov died in 1926, marched in with the army, but then couped the government and made himself supreme ruler of the Russian military junta, but he died in 1936, and the chief of staff Anton Denikin became dictator and transformed the nation into a fascist one-party dictatorship and forms the Moscow Pact with the fascist government in Yugoslavia and Romania under Milan Stojadinovic, and Cornelia Zeli-Codrano, and soon later absolutist Greece under George II. In 1937, 2,000 years after Augustus was born, Benito Mussolini crowns himself emperor of the Neo-Roman Empire as Benedictus I. In 1936, the Spanish Civil War breaks out, with Germany supporting the nationalists and France supporting the Republicans. However, in early 1937 it looked like the Republicans are going to lose, and so on March 1, 1937, France invades nationalist-held territories in the north directly. Germany sends an ultimatum to withdraw, but France rejects it, starting the Second World War. In Italy it looked like Germany is going to steamroll the Pact Ouvrier and took northeastern France and Veneto and pushed into Hungary. But then Russian forces launched a surprise invasion in Courland, Lithuania and Poland. Germany was forced into a stalemate along the Moss and Mosel River in the West Alps in the south and Memel and Buga River in the east, but it is questionable how long they will hold. But in 1938 the tide would change. The Entente joined the war and landed in Calais and Marseille, and the combined forces of the Entente and Central Powers defeat the Commune of France and People's Republic of Italy. Germany, UK, France, Italy, Rome and Spain signed the Treaty of Rome. The French Third Republic gets back France except for the lands east of the Mosel River, which were given to Germany. Germany puts up a puppet state in northern Italy called the Kingdom of Lombardy, Venetia, led by Charles I. Rome gets Tuscany and Romagna, and the kingdom only gets Piedmont and Liguria. Though Germany only controls a few territories of Hungary, it was recognized that it belongs to Germany. They also agree that Spain should be a semi-constitutional monarchy with the executive power being divided between king and prime minister. Soon after France surrendered, Japan however attacked Pearl Harbor and invaded British, Dutch and German possessions in Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, Russia pushed Germany all the way to the Weichsel River, with East Prussia being encircled. After the communists fell, Romania and Yugoslavia took Transylvania and Vojvodina from Hungary, which then collapsed. Germany put up the Kingdom of Hungary led by Károly IV. By 1941, Germany defeated Yugoslavia, Romania and Greece, who signed the Treaty of Constantinople. Croatia, Slavonia, Dalmatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina and Montenegro become the Kingdom of Croatia led by Carlo I. Serbia loses lands east of the Morava River to Bulgaria and Kosovo to Albania. What remains becomes a German vassal state. Romania is split between Wallachia and Moldova. Greece loses Macedonia to Bulgaria and its Aegean islands to the Ottoman Empire. By 1942, Japan capitulated to the Allies, who in this timeline can focus on Japan. Vietnam becomes an independent republic, and China gets Manchuria and the nationalists win the Civil War. Korea is united and Japan occupied. The same year, Germany takes Moscow. In his bunker, Denikin shoots himself and officially ending the war. Mongolia, Outer Manchuria and parts of Central Asia became part of China. The Entente established a republic in the Far East as they agreed with Germany. They split Russia along the Urals. But independence movements and warlords and control most of what used to be Russia. After the war, Germany establishes the Kingdom of Ukraine led by Pavlo Skoropadsky, Kingdom of Belarus led by Stanislaw I, United Baltic Duchy led by Adolf Friedrich, Kingdom of Finland led by Philip I of Hesse, Russian Tsardom led by Vladimir III, Don Kingdom led by Louis Ferdinand I, and the Kingdom of Georgia led by George XII. The Ottomans renexed Erzurum and also annexed Kars, Batumi and Yerevan. The Kingdom of Azerbaijan, which is led by Feridun Mirza I, is in German Ottoman vassal state. Though the Russian Republic was supposed to have all of Siberia, but Turkestan managed to stay independent. After the war, many European colonies gained independence like India, Indonesia, or Algeria. After the war, all domains led by Charles the Blessed become the Danubian Federation. It was also agreed that Serbia, Wallachia and Moldova become Danubian puppets. In 1947, Cold War starts with the Truman Doctrine, with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization on one side and Middle Europa on the other. In 1945, Germany developed its first nuke since its scientists didn't migrate to the United States, but by 1947 the US also built one. In 1941, Wilhelm II died, and Wilhelm III became emperor. But he died in 1951 and Wilhelm IV became German emperor until 1993. After him, Wilhelm V becomes emperor. After the United Baltic Duchy would see a Germanization process in which the amount of Germans increased, especially in the upper class, and the nation was fully integrated to the German economy. It became a member state of Germany. A Third World War may break out. It would result in Germany winning on the land, and the Allies winning in the sea. Or it would go nuclear. The Cold War is likely not over, and a third faction would emerge with China and its allies like Pakistan or Africa. In this world, communism rises up in the West and fascism in Eastern Europe, and the Central Powers endure. The world is very similar to our own, except that Germany replaced Russia as Europe's greatest power post-World War II. If you liked the episode, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Goodbye.